Welcome to the Pixl Marketing Show, the podcast for real estate media pros who want to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results. I'm your host, Pete Stagel, founder of Pixl CRM and creator of the Pixl Marketing Method. And every week, we're diving into the systems, strategies, and real stories that help you attract better clients, retain them longer, and grow a real business. Let's get into it. Today, I've got something a little different for you. I was recently invited onto Jonathan Corbett's podcast, Real Estate Photography Unlocked, and we had a great conversation that I wanted to share with you here on my show. In this first part of our interview, Jonathan asked me about my background, how I stumbled into real estate photography, grew a full team, and eventually sold my business. We got into why so many photographers get stuck relying on word of mouth, what it really takes to scale, and even some behind the scenes of how selling a media business actually works. So if you've ever wondered, can I actually build something that runs beyond just me? Or even, what would it take to one day sell my business? You'll get a lot out of this episode. This is part one of my interview with Jonathan Corbett on Real Estate Photography Unlocked. Let's dive in.
But today we're going to talk with an expert of marketing. And this is something that I think is really important for real estate photographers because all of you guys are just relying on word of mouth, which is okay for some situations and in some markets, but especially as the real estate photography industry continues to grow and become more competitive, you cannot rely just on that. So today we're going to talk with Pete. Pete, how you doing today?
Doing well. Great to be on.
Yes, happy to have you here. And the reason I had you on is because I saw some interesting posts by you. It was getting a lot of engagements. Then it disappeared, and you seem to be not a huge fan of the Instagram method, which I also agree is a very basic. People have been DMing people on Instagram since day one of Instagram, right? It's by no means an interesting and state-of-the-art marketing technique. So, but before you did all this, you were a real estate photographer yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So when were you a real estate photographer? And tell us all about that.
So I started 2018, 2019, pretty much before all of these courses all blew up and the industry started getting flooded with all the real estate photographers. My wife was a realtor. Photography was a hobby of mine. I like to do abandoned buildings and whatnot and explore those types of areas. And I just wanted to be able to capture that. So I was kind of learning a little bit on that side. And my wife had a listing that the other photographer couldn't get to, so I went and shot it. And the other photographer ended up going and shooting it too. And my photos blew theirs out of the way, out of the water. And to be honest, they were crap. They were absolutely horrible. But then I developed it, and my skill set and whatnot, and built up the business. Get a little backstory. I've done a lot of different businesses over the years, consummate entrepreneur, and I was just in between businesses at the time. And so I thought, yeah, I'll dive into real estate photography. And actually, I had started it more for the marketing and virtual tours and trying to not step on the toes of real estate photographers because I didn't consider myself a photographer. I considered myself more of a marketer, more of a business guy and what have you. And I just wanted to do the ancillary stuff and not really even get into the photography because there's plenty of guys who were doing awesome at it. But then I realized that you have to be an all-in-one. You can't just do this piece over here or this piece over there. You have to, be a full-service real estate media provider. And so I went all in, grew my business to 3 photographers, an admin, obviously our editing team, and what have you. And I focus more on the relationship building and the marketing and ultimately the systems behind building and marketing your business.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And it sounds like, so I always try to see what people are like, what camp they belong to. Some people in real estate photography are photographers who got into business and wanted to do photography for a living. Other people are business people who ended up in photography. So it sounds like you're a business person who ended up in photography. And there's nothing wrong with that. So tell us, 3 photographers is a pretty large business. What area of the country, if you don't mind?
So it was the Albuquerque, New Mexico area. Okay. That was the market. We serviced the entire state, but our primary market was Albuquerque, Santa Fe.
Okay, cool.
Area.
And then
So,
you did
so
this
it's
for a
not actually
while.
not a very big area.
Right.
We have 6,000 agents licensed in the entire state.
Yeah,
To give
and
you an
that
idea.
is about the size of my state, frankly. I'm going to look up the population. Nah, we don't need to do that while we're on podcast. But anyway, so you ended up selling the business. This is
Yeah,
an interesting topic. We're not going to go into a bunch right now of, oh, how do you get clients? I know a lot of people listen to this podcast just to have that question answered. And we will answer that in depth because that's what you do. But I'm more interested, first off, in how you exited the industry because I see a lot of real estate photographers who get involved. And this is just the lifetime of any career. Generally speaking, someone will get into a job and stay at that job for 2 to 3 years. And people will also switch careers every 5 to 7. And you guys are going to hear me repeat this often because it's something very important to understand. So if you're a nurse and you graduate from college with your nursing degree, you'll work at a hospital for 2 to 3 years and switch to another hospital. And after the 5 to 7 years, you may stop being a nurse altogether and maybe get into sales of real estate or something, right? You switch careers. I'm finding that to be the exact same thing for real estate photographers. So a lot of real estate photographers get into the industry, and for whatever reason, whether it's burnout or they've kind of scratched that itch and they're just ready for something new, or there's other opportunities they realize and they can make more money doing something else, which is true. So anyway, they don't know how to exit the industry properly. So let's talk about all of your, as much as we can about your exit. Did you sell this to like an employee or an international buyer? Like, how did it go about selling? And you don't have to tell us exact numbers, but how was the selling price compared to your annual revenue and or revenue, not revenue, overall revenue, but profits?
So I am under an NDA, and
Okay.
so there's some pieces I can disclose, some pieces I can't, especially on a public stage such as this.
Okay.
But I will say that there throughout my time of building my business, I was in talks with our competitors various times to see if I could acquire them or that and we could collaborate in some way. Um, about the and we'll get into some of this a little bit later, but about the time that I was building up systems and working on some software, I was approached by one of my competitors at that point who wanted to potentially partner or buy me out,
Hmm.
and I got into the conversation with him, it was not necessarily going very far, and so
Yeah.
I actually reached out to another competitor and said, "Hey, this the other guy wants to potentially partner or buy me out. Would you be interested in?" And so I kind of let them kind of pit them against each other to decide who wanted the
Which
business.
is great, fantastic way of negotiating, guys. And even if you're going to buy a car at a car dealership, go to several dealerships so that they're fighting for you. Because if you just try to be smart and get the dealership to give you a good deal without any leverage like that, you ain't going to get a good deal. Anyway, so smart, very good.
Yeah. And so we just had a good conversation. I was in a position where I wanted to move on.
Hmm.
Um, the Like I said, I wasn't a photographer to start with. I was a business guy. I built it up, and after 2 or 3 years, you get into it. Like you were saying, you start feeling burnout. Start feeling, look, this is the same thing day in and day out. I want to kind of do something new.
Hmm.
And so, like I said, I was a consummate entrepreneur. I've done 15, 16 different businesses, and so I explored the mainstream of real estate photography enough that it wasn't exciting anymore. And so
Right.
I was moving into the business side, building the business side, and that's the part that I've always enjoyed. And so it was a very easy way to say, "Oh, you guys want this? Let's come to a good agreement, and you guys can you guys can have it. I'm going
Right.
to focus on this over here."
Hmm.
Um, Especially agents are an interesting customer to have to work with every day. Um, and
Yes.
so, quite frankly, I prefer talking with other photographers nowadays than
I agree with you completely. That's I can't tell you how rejuvenating it has been for me. Certainly, there's a lot of people who kind of are hard to deal with who are in the photography industry as well. And they can be very rude in all sorts of things. But there's lots of good people who are photographers, and I've met some great people. Just this last week, I met a photographer based out of Raleigh, and we did some workshop together here in Greensboro, and it was great. All right. Well, are you able to talk about, just out of curiosity, I know that you're under NDA, you probably can't share any exact numbers. So we don't know how much you were making. We can assume it's a good amount if you have 3 photographers. Could you share? So the big question when you sell a business is usually you can sell it for around 2 to 3 times your annual profits. That's a very rough rule of thumb of a place to start. Was your numbers anywhere close to that? Because first of all, if you guys are just a solo photographer, it's very difficult to sell your business because you are the business. In
Exactly.
this case, he had a team, he had systems in place, so it was sellable. I am curious what real estate photography businesses are going for as far as those ratios go.
That was definitely a starting point in our negotiation.
Okay.
It was a multiple of our earnings. And you're right. It is very difficult to sell when you're just a photographer because
Mhm.
you're selling either yourself as a job, or you're selling your equipment, or you're selling your client list, which isn't worth anything because
Okay.
unless you have contracts and recurring revenue coming in, there's no there's no promise that they'll ever continue working with the new person. So you can never really do that,
Okay.
which is unfortunate because that's what most of us are building. We're building a
Mhm.
client list and uh, maybe a
Relationships.
team and some systems.
Yeah.
But and so it is difficult to price something like this because you have to both agree that certain amount of clients are going to stay because you've got the systems in place, you've got the people in place that they're not going to go anywhere. But again, there's no guarantee that they're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Uh, and it really also depends on how they're going to take over your business. Are they going to keep the name, or are they going to absorb you into their business? And
Right.
so with us, they absorbed us right in. So they didn't take. They got the name, they got everything, they didn't use it. So
Yeah.
they're just kind of trying to more eliminate competition than they were trying to necessarily grow by acquisition, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. And what was the multiple? Can you share that, or was it 2 to 3 times, 5 times? You can't
I
share it.
can't
Okay.
go into that.
All
Yeah.
right. Understood. All right. Well, if you guys have sold a business before, I would really be interested in talking to you guys just to get more numbers to see what our businesses are worth. Also, if you guys just want to, I mean, it's not verifiable. Anyone can comment down below and make up numbers. But if you guys have exited the industry or have gotten offers for your business, I'd love to know down below in the comments. Now, let's get into your expertise, which is you sold the business. By the way, were you happy that you sold it? Like, do you regret it at all looking back?
I don't.
Okay.
I like to travel. Um,
Right.
and so it's very hard to travel when you have to be in one spot so you can manage the business and manage the people and fill in on shoots if everybody else is not there.
Right.
Like right now, I'm in Tucson, Arizona. I'm visiting family,
Okay. Awesome.
and so I can just be wherever we need to be. Last week I was in Montana. I was in back in New Mexico the week before that. So
So,
being able to
out of
travel around.
curiosity, with your
Yeah.
background, you have actually taken a picture of your office and then use it as a backdrop for a green screen.
It is a green screen
Yeah,
as
yeah, very
backdrop.
neat.
However, it's ChatGPT that built it.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. So that's clever though, because you can be anywhere and it looks like you're in your studio. So
Mhm.
awesome. Well, you have written a book called The Pixel Marketing Method. You own pixelcrm.com, and you teach real estate photographers how to get more business, how to acquire more business. And people are going to ask, oh, did you just buy the book or did you read it? I have begun reading it, but this is a thick, information packed, dense read. It's very, very like practical and step by step. If you read 2 or 3 pages, you feel very like, okay, this is a lot. I need to slow down here and make notes. So have I read the whole thing yet? No. Will I? Absolutely. It's going to take me 2 months or so. But the fact of looking through it and seeing what's in here and reading the first few chapters, it is a lot, and it's real, packed with information. So let's talk about this Pixl CRM. First of all, Pixl CRM is a software,
It
and
is.
then you have all sorts of strategies and like techniques that you use. So where do you want to start? The software or like?
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay,
So
let's start at the beginning. Yes.
as I was, so I've done a lot of software and CRM style stuff in past lives and past businesses. Broken more software than I care to admit. Um, and and so when I was started my real estate photography business, I thought it was just going to be kind of let me just start it and I'll run it and won't be anything like what I've done in the past. And I quickly realized, wait, this is just another business. I got to install the right systems, I got to do the right marketing in order to grow it and scale it the way I wanted to. And so I started looking for platforms to be able to do the marketing that I wanted to do, the email marketing, the text messaging, the phone calls, all of the systems I needed to run my business. And I tried HubSpot. I tried. There's one called SalesMate. There's one. What's the other one? Zoho. I spent over a year trying to get Zoho to work. I thought that was the one that I was going to use, and nothing quite worked the way I wanted to. Um, it was either too complicated, and I'm techie. I understand this stuff, and some of it was just too complicated to be able to put together. All of my systems that I did have together were kind of duct taped together, and the problem with that, with using multiple systems, is that when something changes or breaks, now you got to figure out what it is that you did to build it to start with to go back and then fix it.
Or if
so I was constantly having to fix things.
Yeah, or if you're using multiple pieces of software and they're just connected together via Zapier or something else, if one of the software makes an update, it can crash everything down. So yeah, I share your experience. That's one of the reasons. So this is purely lead generation. It's not like, do you take orders and scheduling software?
No.
Well,
No.
that's the reason why I built, if you don't mind me just saying, Real Estate Media Hero, is because all of the scheduling software that we have in our industry either potentially steals our information and then goes into competition against us, or the software is just very difficult to use and impractical. It's outdated, it's old, it's broken, it's stale, whatever. So I know how you got into this because that's why I built Real Estate Media Hero. If you guys want to check it out, super simple, super easy to use. But one thing we don't have in Real Estate Media Hero is acquisition and lead generation. So this is one of the reasons I want to talk to you. It's to see how your software works, and maybe we could even get a connection with Real Estate Media Hero, and then people could get leads and then schedule with us. So let's see here. Are you a developer?
I know enough. I know enough to break stuff. I don't know enough to build stuff
Okay, cool.
from scratch. Although I will say, with all the AI coding stuff, I'm getting a whole lot further with some of the things that I need to do than I used to. So ultimately, Pixl CRM, the foundation of it is high level, which is one of the next big ones out in the industry. But it allows a whole lot more customization. And that's where I came in, found it, and put all of my systems and all of my processes and how things need to work into it. And so I'm very clear about that up front, because I don't want to ever say that I have 1,000 developers that are building this thing.
Right.
I just have taken it and made it so it works for our industry.
Right.
And obviously connected it to all of the major delivery platforms, except for Real Estate Media Hero at this moment, but I'm sure we'll get that rectified.
Yeah.
And so, as going back to the main story, as I was doing all these systems, all of these processes to do the marketing that I needed in my business, I developed Pixl CRM and put all of our processes, all our stuff into that. And then I started letting other people join and subscribe to it and let them use it for their business. And it was very slow going, because brand new software, brand new everything, brand new process. And the first couple of people I had in there, they did the few things that I told them to do and set up for them, and then they wouldn't do anything else. It's like they just sit there. It's like, yeah, I'm getting great value out of it, but I don't know what else to do with it. And so I wanted adoption. I wanted people to actually get value out of this, not just, get some extra reviews or be able to do some basic outreach. And so I took a step back. About the time that I sold my business, I actually had time to work on it and looked at all the systems that I installed in my business, all from the lead capture and attraction methods and retention and loyalty and all of that stuff that I put into my business, and created the 9-step framework, which became the Pixl Marketing Method.
Okay.
Because what I found is that a lot of real estate photographers are photographers, which is great. They don't necessarily have the business and marketing background to know what they need to do to market their business.
Or they're just terrified.
Yeah, exactly. And so, they're always looking for ways to get more clients, to market their business. And none of this is necessarily groundbreaking. It's all stuff that's been taught over the years by expert marketers, except that it's consolidated and it's proven for our industry. And so it walks you through the entire process of what we've put together. I put it in the book form. And that's why it comes across a little bit more textbooky, is because it's all of the systems and processes that I put in my business and started helping other people put in their business, so that you can attract and retain your clients. Because that's the biggest thing, is that people are going out there, they're getting new clients, they're shooting for them, and then they're hoping and praying that they come back and do business with them again. Meanwhile, you've got all of these other photographers that are doing offers to them, trying to get them to go with them. And if you're not staying top of mind, if you're not, grooming your client base, they're much more likely to move on to somebody else, especially if you're competing on price.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're just showing up, doing the job, and building no relationship. What reason do they have to stay with you if another photographer can come out and do the exact same thing you do for less, right? So you have to really build a relationship with your real estate agent, to say the least. Now, I looked through your book. I looked at the table of contents. I tried to get a grasp of all of, like, in a nutshell, what is the Pixl marketing method. So some people will base their whole marketing idea off of Instagram, right? Like, oh, you got to be an influencer and you got to post this many times a day. I'm a big fan of email, and I say your basis of your entire email, your marketing should be email, and then you need to follow up and find out. First of all, follow up with your current clients and keep those healthy. Work them for referrals. What is, in just a few sentences, so people can understand what the Pixl marketing method is? What is it?
So it's a 9-step framework of all the systems you need to install in your business to attract and retain clients for real estate photographers.
Okay.
So I can give a quick rundown here. We start with magnetic messaging. It's understanding your target market, your USP, who you're selling to. Because if you don't know that, then all of the rest of your marketing systems aren't going to mean anything, because you're talking to the middle of nowhere and nobody's going to listen.
Right.
You need to know, are you targeting luxury agents? Are you targeting high volume agents? Are you targeting commercial builders or Airbnb? You need to know who you're talking to. Then it goes into irresistible offers. And this is the part that a lot of people miss. And from a marketing standpoint, it's like the single most important part. So if you don't have a good offer, nobody's going to take you up on it. Nobody's going to come into your ecosystem and be able to allow you to nurture them and continue selling to them. And so there's 3 parts to the irresistible offer. You've got a transitional offer, which is typically a lead gen offer, a direct offer, that's the book a shoot, and then you also have an introductory offer. And so all of these are going to be how you set the stage and deal with your realtor clients or your target market. And so you don't want to set the stage with leading on price. And so a lot of people do this with free shoots, or they do it with discounts, and that's all you're saying is, I compete on price. And so if I'm not the cheapest, the other guy who is the better option. And you don't want that.
Right. Okay. Can I just pause you right there? Because I can't agree with you anymore. And And I feel like people teaching this en masse is really hurting our industry. It's really not good. I've seen so many. It's teaching the real estate agents to be even more cheap and entitled than they already are. And no offense, guys, I know that I have some of my clients watch these podcasts. I have some great clients, but man, I have a lot of clients that are incredibly cheap, and it's always a struggle trying to communicate to them how much we do for the little. I mean, I had a real estate agent say, "Hey, Jonathan, is there any way you can give me a break?" And she explained, oh, this has a referral fee, this listing, and we had to pay taxes. It's like I literally looked her in the eye and I said, "I understand you pay taxes, and your commission, is X amount, but I pay taxes and my commission is $200, right? So trust me, I'm hurting too. Like I know how you feel." And that was one of the ways where she never asked me for a discount again, because she's like, "Oh, yeah, you do a lot for that." So what's your opinion on free to fee? All that sort of strategy. Do you feel like it's just kind of bad, really bad, or it can be good? Like, what's your thoughts more on
So,
that?
this is going to differ a little bit from your opinion, but pretty much in line. Um, I would prefer free over a discount. It's the Chick-fil-A methodology. They never give you a discount for their food. They'll give you these freebie cards to have a free sandwich, and then you can buy more stuff with it. Um, if you look at the newspaper, you'll get tons of ads for all the other fast food restaurants. They're always doing discounts and deals. So I'm not a fan of discounts. I like free. However, I don't think that you should lead with free as your only offer that you're doing. And it should definitely be your core product. You should do free for ancillary things. You should do free things that they may not be, that it's value add, but not just upfront. I'm going to give you this thing for free.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially when you're coming out of the gate, because oftentimes if you approach real estate agents, they'll be happy to do business with you and they're ready to hand you their money. And then you say, "I'll do it for free." They're like, "Oh, let me just put my money back in my pocket then." Right.
Mhm.
So if you go up and you ask 100 real estate agents to do business with you, you're probably going to get a certain amount of number that will be willing to pay you for that business. And I know some people who teach like free say, "Oh, if you contact 100 agents, you're going to get like 10 free shoots, and then one or two of those will end up being long-term clients." That's really inefficient. Like I get more paid clients from just introducing myself. So there's no point in doing that. Um, Now, what is a good offer in your opinion? Like
So
how do you approach a real estate agent with a quality offer that's going to encourage them to do business with you, especially if they have a photographer already, because that's what a lot of people run into these days.
thanks for listening to the Pixl Marketing Show. If you're ready to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results, grab your free copy of the Pixl Marketing Method at pixelmarketingmethodbook.com. If this episode helped you, share it with another real estate media business owner. Make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time.